on the north side of the house. We've got water that's been standing and collecting here. It doesn't drain. It doesn't drain properly. And some builders will say that, you know, if it doesn't dry within 48 hours, then we consider that to be a problem, but it's supposed to drain, period. I said, well, where did you get that? Where did you get that idea that it's 48 hours? I don't read that anywhere. This is our home warranty company's good with that. They're good with that. So if the home warranty company's going to do, well, when the warranty wears out, the home warranty company's not going to be here. In 5 years, when you sell the house, the builder's not going to be here, nor is the home warranty company going to be here. And everybody's going to be talking about this. And nobody's going to care about the 48 hours. Where'd you get that 48 hours? Our home warranty company came up with that. Who owns your home warranty company? XYZ? Oh, XYZ? Yeah, well, doesn't XYZ own your company? Yeah, it's an umbrella, but our parent company's XYZ, but we're actually two separate companies. Right. Well, you can take from that anything that you care to. These are called weep holes. Home ownership 101. All roofs leak, all walls leak. The idea is they shed water faster than they accept it. Most of the time, only vapor comes out of these. Most of the time. If you have an event, I've seen some events where water came out. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. But mostly it's vapor. The rain gutters discharge too close to the house. I like the backwards splash backs. I've seen them. I've heard a lot of great excuses, reasons. A lot of great reasons for them. But the fact is that if you extended the downspout out your 4 or 6 feet as far as it should go, if you did that, then the lawn people would be tripping over. You'd be tripping over. It'd be a problem. There's another way. They can go into the ground. They can discharge down the ground, and then they come out over here somewhere. It costs a little more. But when these were installed, and when they were installed above grade, whoever installed them knew that it wasn't going to be right. This application is not an acceptable application. Everybody knew that. And here it is. This is called a shrinkage crack. Some people call them corner pops. Call it what you will. We got a little bit of erosion around here. Call it what you will, but that's not a foundation issue. It might be a brick issue. This is a wood-built house. This is a fascia. So the brick's attractive, low maintenance, but that's not a structural issue outside of the bricks. This irrigation hose, it can be exposed. It sure can. But it's supposed to be stapled every 12 inches. There's a staple right there. Every 12 inches. That's it. Another hose. Okay. These are decorative trees. I get it. Little baby crepe myrtles. I get it. Kittens. These kittens are going to grow up to be nasty old tomcats. A tree should not be placed within 25 feet of a structure. And everybody does it. I understand. If we were doing a wood destroying insect report, we're not. Wood mulch underneath the drip line would be conducive conditions to termites. These are the water cleanouts. Oh, one water cleanout. We got another one around here? It'd be nice if we had two. Well, we got one. This is the main cleanout for the sewer. In case you got a problem, they need to bring the snake in. This is where it goes. We got some cut stone, brick. Looking all along. The Brick Institute says that if you have weep holes over your lintels, that's the minimum. That's enough. That's enough. They'd rather you had flashing underneath here, but sometimes you get what you get. So if we're in the garage, garages are part of the exterior space, septic outlets. I wasn't able to get into this garage, the garage attic, this side of the door, and this is basically the way I found it. So somebody had tried before me, but something's holding it down up here, and I can't, I won't push that hard enough to break the gypsum board. I'm not here to prove anything. Right up there, right up there. That corner, the cornice top corner, between the shingles and the fascia board, there's a little metal band flashing. Right now it's drip edge flashing, and it's not supposed to be lapped less than 2 inches. And that might be 2 inches, but it's not laying down flat. It's not secured. Something's wrong with that. Coming along, this is a smaller garage. This would be the south garage. And we talk about these later. There won't be a video about this one, so I'll just go ahead while we're at it. They are labeled. But the way I do is I go to the automatic run. It says hold to start. Started. You gonna start for me? Station 1, zone 1. And it says this is going. Flower bed, that would be the drip edge. And then I would just continue all the way through it. But not just now. I will. That's my plan. There's another video about this poor drainage along here. Gas meters on this side, bonded. But while we're at it, besides the health issues, besides the safety liability, this is a structural issue. This isn't 6 feet. I'm 5'7". I'm holding the camera in one hand. My fingers are touching the brick wall. So. Electric meter below grade. Grounding rod should have been better buried. Irrigation lines closer, farther apart than 12 inches. Should have staples in them. Foundation. Splash blocks are laid out backwards. Double pane vinyl frame windows. This is the master bedroom window here. There's another clean out. It's not a main clean out, but still, it's good to have. You might need it. Usually, the way a retaining wall affects a foundation is if the yard is higher than the retaining wall. That said, if a retaining wall is twice the distance from the structure, then in theory it shouldn't affect the foundation. Well, this one it's higher than this foundation, so in theory it should not affect this foundation. It probably could affect that one, and but it is closer than twice its height, so there might be some negative ramification that I'm not aware of. The retaining walls seem to be performing well. These are weep holes. You have to have them. That's civil engineering. You have to have them. As water's going down that way. But the code says that it should not be a nuisance to your neighbor. It should not be you should never discharge water from your property that's a nuisance to the neighbor, and that includes the driveway. I was able to walk on that part of the roof and right up around the fireplace chimney, and then I gave up. You've already seen that video, though. You've already seen that video. Moving on along. Looking with fresh eyes. I have run across here. I have. I've already spent some time at the condensing units, but this is my first real time here. Double pane vinyl frame. We got a loose screen. Hey, dude, what happened to you? We got a little bit of kick-out flashing right there. I always complain about we've got something else going on here. Kick-out flashing probably should have been a little larger because the rain gutter, the butt end of the rain gutter is not supposed to butt up against the structure. It's not supposed to butt up against your exterior wall. There's supposed to be about a 2-inch gap between the rain gutter butt end and the wall. So we do not have our gap. And if we did have our gap, then that kick-out flashing is probably undersized. Just saying. Looking for other examples of that. This is a better example of the shrinkage crack, the corner pop. Call it what you will. Okay, what it is cement's always shrinking. It takes years to dry. The Hoover Dam just dried. I didn't think it ever dried. So if this isn't as old as the Hoover Dam, it's still drying. It's still drying. And brick, it's the only part of your house that actually grows. You'll never measure it. You'll never measure how much your foundation shrinks. And then the properties, the physical properties of the brick and the cement, their values are different. So they expand and contract according to the weather, the humidity, the moisture, the lack thereof, the temperature, all these things, freezing, burning, they're expanding and contracting at different. And this plastic is supposed to go around the edges. It'd be nice if it was real flashing, but we get plastic. In North Texas, we get plastic. The only place I've ever seen metal flashing was one custom home, and then the rest of it is just in pictures. I've seen pictures of it. But anyway, since they're expanding and contracting at different rates, then the corners give it up, and it's supporting brick. Supporting brick. That's not a foundation. I already mentioned that right out of the gate. I repeat myself a lot. I get it. I know. I love to hear myself talk. These tell us that this is a post-tension slab foundation. There's different types of post-tension slabs. Some of them have piers beneath them. Some of them, have other. But I don't know what type of post-tension slab this is. I just know that it is a post-tension slab foundation. And they're very strong. So it's kind of a desirable thing. Got a little bit of high soil right in here. The soil should be higher than the bricks as the termites are coming in through this form board that was left here. See that? Okay. How do you think they're coming into your house? I don't know. I can't imagine. Can't imagine how they come into the house. How did that happen? I don't know. More of our drainage issues. So you got drainage issues on both sides of the house. Both sides of the house. Moving on along. These are kind of exposed. It's kind of awkward. I mean, technically there isn't anything wrong with it unless you want to say in a good and workmanlike manner. If you want to say that, then that's kind of lacking. It almost looks like an afterthought. But this is for the temperature pressure relief valve for the water heater, the one water heater, the 150-gallon water heater you have for a 40,000 square foot house, and this is the drain pan. And they shouldn't be farther from the ground than 6 inches. So even though they came out up here, and even though they put the extensions on them, they just gave up. And I don't know. I don't know how it works like that. These are called control joints. Some people call them expansion joints. Call it what you will. Call it what you will. These are here by design. You've got a long wall. We expect the wall to move. We have those same lines in the retaining wall. If you look at it, kind of study it, you'll see vertical lines every so often. Hopefully, it's to save the zigzag cracks and the bricks falling out and all that. So every year or so, because this mastic dries, it shrinks. So every year or so, you should come out here and make sure that your mastics, because wall's porous. I get that. That's why we have the weep holes. But it's porous enough. It doesn't need a lot of help. You need to make sure that your windows are sealed. You need to make sure your control joints are sealed, and all your penetrations are sealed. Coming on along. I might have my client, if he comes back, kind of he had some concerns about this foundation. I guess what he's talking about is it looks like the form boards were crooked when they poured the foundation, and the foundation is tilting out a little bit. But the foundation is what it is. It is where it is. Does that look well? No, it doesn't look, it's not that impressive. Let's face it. Hey, check out my Dutch slab. But besides that, I'm not seeing a lot of structural issues with that because of that. Once you get used to looking at it, it starts becoming pretty obvious. You put a straight edge on that, and I get that. But we haven't measured, there's another control joint, but we haven't measured the floor inside. We're not through with it yet. Just because I walked around the house doesn't mean we're through by any stretch of the imagination. That pipe up there, that's your secondary drain line for your evaporator coil. It's over a window on a purpose. If you see water coming out of that, you've got an issue. You've got a problem. You have another one over this window over here. They're supposed to be there. I'd be writing it up if they weren't. And then right there, that little square box with the screen on it, that's your fresh air induction vent. Because this is a nice tight house. It's got, composition shingles roof. It's got OSB decking. It's got double pane vinyl frame windows. It's got insulation everywhere. Things have all been sealed up. So it's a tight house. You got to get some fresh air in so it doesn't develop sick house syndrome. Now, that being said, in some parts of the country or maybe some other parts of the world, okay, the screens are looked down on. They look down on it, they could freeze up and starve your furnace on the coldest day of the year from a wind-free, freeze-driven rain. But that's not our problem here in North Texas. That'll never happen. What will happen is birds will nest in it if you don't have a screen. Birds will nest in it, and that'll starve your furnace, and then you won't have heat during the coldest night of the year.